Ladies and gentlemen, we've made it. We've made it to March. We're bound to be in the thick of it in March Madness, and I couldn't be more excited. Welcome to Clown Questions. My name is Matt Clown Emoji, and yes, that is my legal government name. But in the spirit of March, I have to ask the question, who got snubbed? And I'll attempt to answer that question and some more questions on this episode of Clown Questions. Who's down to clown?
That's a clown question, bro.
All right, who got snubbed? I can go team by team, but I could answer the question who got snubbed by just saying the name of a conference. That conference, of course, being the Big East. If you're, a Big East fan, particularly Seton Hall, St. John's, maybe Providence fans, you've got to be fucking pissed. And if you watch tonight's first four game where Virginia got absolutely slaughtered by Colorado State, you're probably even more pissed. Virginia was one of those teams that snubbed you. But the teams that got snubbed were, of course, those Big East teams like I mentioned, but the committee named their first four out as Indiana State, Oklahoma, Seton Hall, and Pitt. I would probably throw St. John's into the mix as well. I think they all got snubbed, but they didn't get snubbed by the committee. They got snubbed by other teams in the country. And those teams are the bid stealers. So who were the bid stealers? Duquesne, which I'm being told is actually pronounced Duquesne. I guess it's French. University of Alabama, Birmingham, another bid stealer. NC State on their red hot run, bid stealer. Oregon, they won their tournament. New Mexico, who should have been in either way, but according to the committee, if they didn't win their championship, they weren't in. So they would have been a snubber, someone who got snubbed, but instead they're a bid stealer. Virginia, like I said, they looked absolutely horrid today. They only scored 14 points in the first half, and I think they finished the game with 42 points. Kentucky will probably have that by halftime on Thursday or Friday. I forget which day they play. And then you could argue Michigan State was a bid stealer. So Tom Izzo, who has been vocal about not wanting the tournament to expand, for a brief moment on Sunday, he was fully on board with the tournament expanding. And he's quoted as saying, "I'm not for tournament expansion, but coming down to that last bracket region tonight, I really wanted tournament expansion for a few minutes there." So Michigan State has not had a great showing this entire season, but they got in, and St. John's and Oklahoma and my boy Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Indiana State, unfortunately, are not going to be in the tourney. So that's unfortunate for y'all. Sorry to say. Who should be sorry is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons, which leads me to my next question. Did the Eagles and the Falcons tamper? So according to Saquon Barkley's former coach, James Franklin, he got to the Eagles because of tampering. James Franklin's quote here, for him now to come back and be able to play within the state in Philadelphia, he said that was one of the first things that Howie Roseman said to him on the phone as part of his sales pitch to him, was not only the Philadelphia Eagles and that, but obviously the connection with Penn State and the fan bases as well. So according to CBS Philadelphia, during the NFL's 52-hour legal tampering period, teams can negotiate contracts with agents of pending free agents, but not the players themselves. Players can agree to deals through their agents, but they can't officially sign contracts until the new league year begins. Teams can only talk directly to players during the legal tampering period if the player represents himself. Saquon does not represent himself. That's a smoking gun if I've ever seen one. Your former coach from college, James Franklin and Saquon, I'm sure have had a great relationship because, Saquon was Heisman candidate for Franklin and probably the best player Franklin's ever coached. So for Franklin to say that Saquon talked to Howie Roseman, before he got signed, that's cut and dry tampering. Personally, I think their punishment should be they have to forfeit Saquon Barkley to the Green Bay Packers. I think that would be the most equitable solution for the NFL. And I should mention, if you're wondering why I'm wearing a winter jacket inside, if you're on the YouTube and you can see it, you probably already know the answer. And yes, I maybe am here trying to flex a little bit, but hey, I'm on episode 10. I'm excited, and I decided to treat myself. Found this vintage 90s Packer jacket, and I got it for $30. It was a steal. But yeah, this was kind of a treat yourself, a little present to myself in 10 episodes. I know 10 episodes doesn't sound like a lot, but it feels like a lot, and I'm just grateful and excited that I'm at a point where I can consistently put out one podcast a week. I hope to pump those numbers up soon, because those are rookie numbers. You gotta pump those up, as Mark Hanna would say. And as for Kirk Cousins and the Falcons tampering, during the negotiating window, players and their agents can talk to teams, but are forbidden from visiting teams. So during his introductory news conference Wednesday, Cousins had a little Freudian slip, a little slip of the tongue that made league officials' ears perk up. Kirk Cousins said, "You look around and you think, boy, there's great people here, and it's not just the football team. I mean, I'm looking at the support staff, calling our head athletic trainer, talking to our head of PR, and I'm thinking, we got good people here." That was Kirk Cousins this past Wednesday. That was when he was announced to the team, and he signed the deal officially, 2 hours after free agency began. But when he said yesterday, league officials, their ears perked up, because he wasn't allowed to go to the facility that day. He went a day early. That means the Falcons tampered. So if this is true, the Falcons and Eagles will both be fined, and they'll be forced to forfeit a draft pick. Personally, I think it's the Saquon thing is more obvious. Cousins could have just been, could have fumbled his words a little bit, like I've already fumbled my words 6 times on this podcast. But Saquon's former coach saying that he talked to Howie Roseman before he got signed, that's pretty damn clear that the Eagles tampered and should trade Saquon to the Packers. Not that we need him, because we've got Josh Jacobs, but it'd be nice to get a change of pace back. So what else happened in the NFL? Aaron Donald retired. Congratulations to Aaron. One of, if not the most dominant defensive lineman of all time. I'm wearing a 90s jacket, so the most dominant defensive player of all time is Reggie White, but Aaron Donald's probably a close second. So hats off to him and his great career. And what else happened? We had Hollywood Brown going to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's the fastest guy they've had since Tyreek Hill, although I don't know if McCole Hardman might be a little faster, but Hollywood's a more accomplished receiver, and him and Mahomes going to be scary as hell. Another move that I'm not scared of, because I'm a Packer and I'm not scared of anything, is Keenan Allen traded to the Bears. I think this was a great move for the Bears. They only had to give up a 4th-round pick, and they got Caleb Williams, a new weapon. I'll get to that in a second. The reason why I know it's Caleb Williams for sure. Kenny Pickett was traded from the Steelers to the Eagles. That one was weird to me, because I guess Pickett requested a trade after they signed Wilson, because Pickett didn't want to be the backup. But then he got traded to Philly, where he's going to be Jalen Hurts' backup. So the logic there didn't really add up to me with Pickett. Maybe he didn't know he was going to be a backup again, but I don't know. That was odd. I guess anything to get away from Russell Wilson, right? What else? Chase Young signed with the Saints. Good luck, Charlie, or Dennis Allen, I guess. Low effort, low production, just underwhelming for how highly touted of a pick he was. But who knows? Maybe Cameron Jordan can teach him work ethic. So we'll see. This was pretty funny. I guess the 49ers had a payroll error, and as a result, they have to forfeit the 5th-round pick in 2025, and they had a draft pick moved back 4 slots this year. Literally just a payroll error, an accounting error. I took college accounting in high school before going on to fail an accounting class in college and barely, passing the next one in order to graduate. But if I know anything about accounting, it's debits on the left, credits on the right. So if 49ers accountant you're watching, just remember that debits left, credits right. As long as you know those two things, you probably won't repeat the payroll error. Another move related to the 49ers is my old boy Devondre Campbell is signed with the 49ers. Happy for Devondre. He's going to fit their scheme well. And when we inevitably play the 49ers in the playoffs this next season, I'm praying Campbell doesn't have a Dre Greenlaw-like game, pick off Jordan Love once or twice. But, us Packers fans all know that that's quite a likely scenario. Speaking of the Packers, we re-signed A.J. Dillon. That was a weird signing to me because we just signed Josh Jacobs, and Dillon and Jacobs' play styles are just so damn similar. It didn't seem like Dillon was, the RB2 we needed. It seemed like we needed more of a speed guy or, receiving back. But as Nick Kemp pointed out, we got a new nickname for our backfield, Pound Town. So maybe we can get Sexy Red to show up to some of the Packers games. Pound Town, or however that song goes. Going to a former Packer, Aaron Rodgers in New York. He's got a new weapon, Mike Williams. He just signed a 1-year, $15 million deal with the Jets. Another weapon for Rodgers. It's not just Garrett Wilson out on an island by himself. He'll be a great deep threat, and Rodgers will throw him his fair share of 50-yard tutties this year. So good signing for the Jets. $15 million seems like a lot, though. I was just surprised. That's $2.5 million more per year than Saquon is going to be making. And Saquon, in my opinion, is, the best offensive free agent, or at least running back. But I guess it's just where the market is at right now. And running backs aren't going to get as paid as much as receivers. It's a passing league, as we all know. And the big and maybe most controversial move was Justin Fields getting traded to the Steelers for either a 4th or 6th round pick. If he plays 51% of the snaps, it's a 4th round pick. If he plays fewer than 51%, it's a 6th round pick. So the trade value was not there for the Bears. They thought they were going to get a lot more for him. Unfortunately, they're likely getting a 6th round pick because the Steelers also named Russell Wilson the starter and said immediately, even after trading for Fields, that there won't be a QB competition and Wilson will be the starter, which is a question that most people, or most ball knowers like myself, are asking. Does Russell Wilson even deserve to be the starter? Personally, I think yes. He's a more accomplished player, more accomplished passer. He's got, more experience, more years on the job than Fields. So I do think he deserves to be the starter, but not without a competition. Justin Fields was, he was so-so in Chicago in terms of his passing, but he's still, I'd argue, one of the 5 best running quarterbacks of all time. I know he broke some records that one year with however many yards he ran for, but I don't know. I think just handing the job to Wilson right away is a little weird, and not even giving Fields a chance to come into training camp and show Mike Tomlin that he's as talented, if not more talented, than Russell Wilson. But as my dad pointed out, the reason that Wilson's automatically the starter is probably because upon his signing, with Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin probably promised Wilson the job, and then Pickett's like, give me the hell out of here. And they're like, all right, we need a backup. We'll take Fields. We all know Fields wants to start. He's a great player. He's eager, eager to play. But yeah, I just it kind of baffles me that they're not even going to have a competition. But it's most likely the reason is they don't want to break their promise to Russell Wilson. Moving on, I just want to take a moment to say thanks. There's, been a number of people who I've talked to or, have reached out and offered support and, told me they're, listening to the podcast, they like it, whatever. That means a lot to me, guys. I've tried to make many podcasts in the past, and I hope to make even more in the future. So maybe I should name drop some guys. Dr. Jones, we got to get the cash call rolling. That's kind of on me, so I apologize. I just need to buy a second microphone, and we can get rolling. Scary Hours with, I'll bleep out the name because I don't know if he's going to change it or not, but kept you bleeped for that, but Scary Hours podcast could be crazy. What about Gowan and Toles bringing back the THT, the Treehouse Talks? Maybe. Give me goosebumps. Is that podcast still happening? Poolside? I don't know. I'm rambling, but I don't know. I'm just excited for the possibility that Goosebump Sports could be the next Barstool Sports, which is what I hope and plan to do in the future. So I'm grateful I got the 10 episodes in this podcast. Here's to 100 more until it inevitably gets canceled. Not canceled by cancel culture, but canceled by myself, because it would be damn nice to have another person to talk to, another host, and I also left out Nemo and the Clownfish. That's the only other video podcast I have. Nemo, we got to get some more pods cooking up soon, and we will. And hopefully that second microphone will be coming shortly. After my broke ass gets my shit together. All right, let's move on to our next question. And this was actually a viewer submitted question. That viewer being me, because I finally got around to watching one of the podcasts. It's okay. It's what it is. What it is. Only note is the audio quality and video quality could be better, and the host is kind of a dumbass, but I don't know. It's decent podcast. It's called Clown Questions. Check it out on YouTube, and it's now actually now on Spotify. So yeah, shout out if you're listening on Spotify. You can listen to it anywhere at the park, in your room and in the car, when you're walking to work. But yeah, no, we on Spotify. So hype for that, and it's just a good way to yap. And like I said, I'd love to do that for a living. I would love to become a professional yapper, and I'm yapping so long that I forgot the question the viewer asked me in the first place. Oh, here it is. Can you say something nice about women's college basketball? Yes, I can. I'll pick the Final Four, and I'll pick a champion. Unfortunately, I'm not going to pick the whole bracket because I already had that planned out where I'm going to pick the entire men's bracket. That's going to be painful enough going through all 63 picks. So I'm not, unfortunately, for all the women's basketball truthers out there, I'm not going to be picking that bracket fully, but I'll give you my Final Four in women's college basketball. I got South Carolina, obviously number 1 overall seed. Stanford getting back to the Final Four. UConn, who's fallen a little out of favor in the women's space. I got them getting there, and I got Iowa in the semifinals. Give me South Carolina over Stanford. Give me Iowa over UConn. In the championship, give me Iowa over South Carolina. Caitlin Clark passes Pistol Pete Maravich as the greatest college player of all time, and she solidifies her legacy fully. Staying in basketball, but going back to the men's, who's the hottest team in the nation? There's a lot of answers to this, so I listed about 6 of them because it's tough to debate. But in my opinion, the hottest team in the nation is NC State. They pulled off the rare 5 for 5. They won 5 games in 5 nights, won an unbelievable game against Virginia after banking in a 3 at the buzzer, which will be on the Goosebump moments of the week coming up here. But, I mean, what a magical run for NC State. Almost reminiscent of, their Cinderella runs in the past. But, yeah, no one's hotter than the Wolfpack right now. Second hottest team in the nation, give me New Mexico. They went through a gauntlet in the Mountain West. They're an 11 seed in the tournament, and I think they can stay hot in the tournament. I like them. Number 3, unfortunately, is James Madison. They have the longest win streak in the country right now with 13 straight wins. As a Badger fan, I'm slightly terrified. But I think my Badgers can get it done, but our opponent should not be overlooked. James Madison is the real deal. 4th hottest team in the nation. Give me Charleston. They got 12 straight wins. I don't really have any other notes than that. 5th hottest team in the nation, McNeese State. They got 11 straight wins. And they had, Christian Shoemate had a Goosebump moment of the week. So that bodes well for my stupid little podcast. And coming in at number 6, not Duquesne, but Duquesne, which, why is it spelled D-U-Q-U-E? It's because it's French. But, yeah, Duquesne has won 8 straight. They won the Atlantic 10 tournament. They're hot. And I'll get to them later on when I pick the whole bracket. But right now, let's go to our first segment, which is First Your Interruption. Today, we are going to be interrupted by Aaron Jones in his introductory press conference as a Viking. Here's Aaron Jones.
Aaron, how would you say, you guys got a ways to go to solidify the rosters and everything, but right now, competitively speaking, where are the Vikings compared to the Packers, do you say?
Honestly, I don't even know who's on their roster after I got released. I've just turned straight to the Vikings, and this is my focus. I'm not worried about the Packers. I'm a Minnesota Viking, and I feel like we have a really good roster. We have the pieces that we need here.
So, obviously, he knows who's on the roster. Yes, we got a few new free agents, and we lost a few new guys. But, I mean, even with all the, new acquisitions, releases, like, Aaron still knows 42 people on that team. So, he's being petty as hell. I don't blame him because I think the Packers asked him to take a $10 million pay cut, and he's like, $10 million? He's been the heart and soul of the Packers for 7 years, and he didn't want to take a $10 million pay cut. He's like, after everything I've done for you guys, you want me to give up 2/3 of my salary? Fuck you. I'm going to go to Vikings and take $1 million more just to fuck with you guys. But it's a slightly troubling thread that Devondre Campbell pointed out after his release, and he's now a 49er. But Devondre Campbell tweeted out, the organization didn't even call me to ask if I wanted to take a pay cut. They just released me after going in the media and saying me and Aaron Jones were a part of future plans. They could have just told me the truth. I could easily be bitter, but I'm not. Shout out to Devondre for not being bitter, because I'd be bitter as hell if that was the truth. After, saying in the past that we're gonna hang on to Jones and Campbell. Packers got rid of them not without a rhyme or reason. I mean, the Packers had real financial and, strategic reasons to release them, but it's just that Campbell pointed out is sort of a troubling thread that Aaron Rodgers talked about on the Pat McAfee show in 2021. On the show, Rodgers described that he felt certain players were disrespected by the organization One of the things that he felt should have been different was bringing them back, especially when they could still contribute and wanted to stay even for less money. So there's been a number of guys, unfortunately, that have been slighted by the Packers organization. And Rodgers mentioned a whole list of players, a whole laundry list of guys who thought they were either mistreated or disrespected on their way out of Green Bay. Charles Woodson, Jordy Nelson, Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews, Randall Cobb, James Jones, John Kuhn, Brett Good, TJ Lang, Brian Bulaga, Casey Hayward, Micah Hyde. Now, if you're not a Packers fan, those names don't all mean something to you, but to Packers fans, those are all, certified Packers legends. All those guys played huge parts in our success, and the Packers didn't exactly push them out the door with dignity. So, I don't want to trash my own team, but as someone who's, sad that, his two favorite players are gone, I can see where Campbell's coming from, and Rodgers pointed out all those guys that kind of left in a weird way. Not that they left, but, got released or pushed out of the organization. So, Packers front office, if you're listening, just treat your guys better. Even if you have to move on for them, do it with more dignity. I don't know. Just there's got to be a better way to do this. I know sometimes business is business, but I don't know. I just feel like we got to stop slighting our legends, and that's the reason why, an Aaron Jones, a Brett Favre, a Greg Jennings. Well, I mean, Brett Favre kind of put out himself, but that's the reason why Aaron Jones went to the Vikings. He obviously felt slighted, and he's clearly feeling petty after saying he doesn't know who's on our roster anymore. But I mean, just to end this on a lighter note, I do think Aaron Jones is gonna cook the Packers in terms of his yards and usage and tutties as the Vikings play the Packers next year. I can hear it now, the commentator going, Aaron Jones down the sideline. Can they catch him? No. Touchdown. 54 yards. Jones scores his second touchdown of the day. Vikings cut the lead to 17-42 Packers. Let's move on to our pass or play segment. Give me pass or play. Scotty Scheffler to win the Masters. That plays. He's putting. He's driving. He's chipping. I'm not well equipped enough to make any golf analysis, but give me Scotty Scheffler to win the Masters. He's hot, and he's gonna win his second Masters this year because the man can putt. I think that's what I've heard. Pass or play. UConn to repeat. As I've said on a previous podcast, I'm gonna pass on that. I don't think UConn's gonna do it again. Pass or play. Blake Snell. Blake Snell, who is a pitcher in the Major League Baseball League, the MLB, but he now plays. So I'm going to go play on that. Blake Snell now plays for the Giants, a 2-year, $62 million deal. $31 million a year. I'm moving on quick, but yeah, I said something about baseball, so, shout out baseball fans. All right. Pass or play, picking the first 4 games. I watched 2 of the first 4 games today, Howard Wagner and Colorado State, Virginia. I love watching them, but I'm not picking them. It's not, there is a spot in the bracket to pick them, but it doesn't affect your total score in any bracket pool you're going to do. So I prefer to just not pick them. And this year, I'm not going to be picking them. 2 of them happened. I got 2 tomorrow, but I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to pick them. There's so many other games to pick. I'm not picking that. Okay. All right. Final one, pass or play. March Madness at a bar. Hard pass. Hard pass. I would prefer to be in the comfort of my own parents' home and set up all the TVs I can. I don't know. I like listening to the commentary. I'm dumb and I don't know ball. So I prefer, hearing all that shit and hearing the commentators break down the game. Although, if my friends are all at a bar, I'll probably go. But I would prefer to watch it, at someone's house. I just think it's a much better experience. You can drink for free there, and it's just more fun to me, and you can get more engrossed in the game. Speaking of getting engrossed in games, let's go on to the Goosebump moments of the week. And as I stated previously, we are now on Spotify. So for the Goosebump moments of the week, I'm not going to be talking as much. In the first place, I don't know why I thought it was ever a good idea to commentate over commentary. That's kind of hard to do. I didn't do a great job of it, so I'm going to keep it like real short and sweet and let the commentators take the rest of it. But let's get into it. Top 10 Goosebump moments of the week, starting off hot with number 10 homer pick. We got Chucky Hepburn for the Wisconsin Badgers, forcing overtime.
Wisconsin down by 2. Wall gets it in. Hepburn, fake, drives, layup is good! Overtime! And this is how we got here.
And it's surprising, really big on the ball, no deterrent in the lane, and all of a sudden Chucky with a good cut.
At number 9, we got Denton Thomas for UNLV, trying to tie it up.
Thomas with 2. Thomas at the horn. He's got it! 0.5 on the clock. What a shot. Aztecs do have a timeout. They're not going to call it. Butler at the buzzer. No good, and we are going to overtime.
College is holding the basketball.
At number 8, we got Mason Madsen for Boston College, trying to tie it up and send it to overtime.
Another one. He hits it. He hit the shot. Madsen at the buzzer. 57.
This is what you're going to have.
At number 7, we got Matt Nolan for Yale in the Ivy League.
2 dropped off to Nolan. The Bulldogs win at the buzzer. They will review. But I think Matt Nolan has just sent him dancing yet again.
Number 6, Anna Miller for Drake.
Miller with time winding down. She gets the bucket. And Drake takes home the championship.
Number 5, Mohamed Sow for St. Peter's.
Puts it up. No good. The follow. It's good. It's good. Game over.
Number 4, Bam Adebayo.
4 seconds. 3. Get it off. Bam for 3. Yes! Bam wins the game with a 3. A happy ending in the Motor City.
Number 3, Anthony Edwards dislocates his finger.
Edwards gets it back.
And threw it down. And one from the rafters.
Immediately looked down at his hand after the dunk. It's an and one.
Number 2, Michael O'Connell for NC State.
O'Connell gets it off. And Michael O'Connell to an absolutely amazing shot and an amazing finish to regulation.
At number 1, we got Kyrie Irving, left-handed hook shot over Jokic for the win.
A southpaw finish from Kyrie Irving. Just absurd. Unforgettable ingenuity from Kyrie Irving. A left-handed floater for the win.
Official confirms a ruling on the floor. Good basket. The game is over.
And here we talked about the misdirection, but I said earlier in the game, you get Kyrie on that right side of the floor and just the left hand float finish. That is one of the nastiest games I have seen in a while, and to have that type of finish from Kyrie Irving. And as a former teammate, let me tell you, as soon as he released it, I have seen him make shots like that. Not a magnitude for a game winner, but man, What a shot.
That is historically ridiculous. A left-handed running floater.
One of the most absurd shots you'll ever see from Kyrie, the left-handed hook and stare at your damn hand. This is probably the longest show I've ever had, and I'm going to make it even longer right now by doing my perfect bracket preview. And by perfect bracket preview, I don't mean I'm previewing my perfect bracket. I mean, excuse me, sorry for burping. But what I mean by perfect bracket preview is that this bracket preview is perfect for anyone who wants to, learn about March Madness and, pick a bracket. So let me just put on my reading glasses here. Last week, we didn't end up great. Our overall conference championship record ended up being 9-23 overall. So not ideal, mate, but we will do the entire NCAA bracket right now. All 63 picks, I'm going to make them. First game, we got Stephen Swenson and Stetson going up against UConn. Yes, Purdue lost to Fairleigh Dickinson last year, but before that, UMBC was the last team to win it. And I can't do these glasses. I couldn't see shit. But yeah, it's going to be another 5 years until one loses to a 16. UConn rolls in that game. Next game, we have Florida Atlantic versus Northwestern. Give me Northwestern. 2 words. Boo booey. The man's electric. And he can't be stopped. All right. Next game, we got San Diego State versus UAB. Give me UAB. Shout out Maddie, who goes to UAB. 12-5 upsets are common. Go Dragons. Or Blazers, excuse me. Next game, we got Auburn, Yale. Give me Auburn. Yale are some nerds. This isn't a test. This is a basketball game. Auburn rolls. Next game, we got BYU against Duquesne. So Duquesne actually hasn't been to an NCAA tournament since 1977, and their coach, Keith Dambrot, is retiring after this year. Keith Dambrot was actually LeBron's coach in high school for 2 years. But I like Duquesne in this game. Not for any of the reasons I just mentioned, but because in the Atlantic 10 tournament, confetti rained down on them about 10 minutes early, and then they won the championship. That's just Team of Destiny vibes. Weird shit's happening. So I think weird shit happens against BYU. I think they get the dub. Next game, we got Illinois State versus Morehead State. Give me the Illini. Antonio Brown actually picked Morehead State to win it all as his champion. But no. Illinois is going to win, unfortunately, for AB. His champion's going to be out on day one. Terrence Shannon Jr. is a nightmare on and off the court. So give me the Illini. And in the next game, we got Washington State versus Drake. Give me Drake. Indiana State should be in the tournament. Drake beat Indiana State, and I think Indiana State's better than both of these teams. So give me Drake. Great logic there. Next game is Iowa State versus South Dakota State. We're going to go with Iowa State. They just pummeled Houston to the championship. I'm not going to be picking any 1s, 2s, or 3 seeds to lose, even though there probably will be one. All right, next game is North Carolina versus the winner of Howard Wagner, which ended up being Wagner, and I'm kind of pissed because I was going to make UNC is going to be asking him, how are these nuts tasting? But I can't make that joke anymore. But give me UNC chalk to win. Mississippi State versus Michigan State is the next game. Give me Michigan State. Death, taxes, and Tom Izzo winning in March. St. Mary's versus Grand Canyon, the 12-5 matchup. We're going to go with St. Mary's. Grand Canyon's a very trendy upset pick. You zig, I zag, so I'm going St. Mary's. Alabama versus one of the hottest teams in the nation, Charleston. Give me Bama. I'm a little worried about Charleston being so hot, but Bama is notorious for having shooters. So I think Bama wins in a shootout. Next one is Clemson against New Mexico. Give me New Mexico. Josh and Jana, they're Clemson guys, and their team is overrated as fuck. I like the Lobos. They're the damn second hottest team in the nation right now. Give me the Lobos, and I think Lobos could be a little dark horse Final Four team. Not that I have them in the Final Four, but they could be a dark horse. Next up, we have number 3 Baylor up against number 14 Colgate, and I like Baylor in this game. It's a good toothpaste, but they had a Mickey Mouse court storm. All right, Dayton versus Nevada. Give me Nevada. I'm all in on the Mountain West this year. Arizona versus Long Beach State. I'm going to go with Arizona here. Like I said, I'm not going to have any 1s, 2s, or 3s. Apparently, Long Beach, as I'm told by the experts, they have the best chance of any 15 seed. But I think Caleb Love proves to be too much game. Going up to Houston, Longwood. Longwood is probably Antonio Brown's runner-up in his bracket. But yeah, give me Houston there. Jamal Shed is too cold. And yeah, the Cougars rolling that one. Nebraska versus Texas A&M. Nebraska's athletic director actually is leaving for Texas A&M. So there's a little extra motivation for Nebraska in this one. Plus, Keisei Tominaga is electric. Love watching him play, and I think he gets it done against A&M. Wisconsin versus James Madison. This is the Pardon My Take Bowl. It's my 2 favorite podcast hosts pitted against each other. At first thought, I got to pick Wisconsin. I got to ride with my guy Big Cat and the Badgers. And then I thought, damn, James Madison's good though. One of the hottest teams, only 3 losses all year. But the more I thought about it, I can't pick against my boys. They're, they've been up and down. Weren't great in February, but hey, we turned it back on in the Big Ten tournament, and I got us winning in the Pardon My Take Bowl. In the Pardon My Take Bowl 2.0, it's Duke, Vermont. I'm going to be rooting my ass off for Jake and Vermont. And Kyle Filipowski is a scumbag, but Duke's a better team. So give me Duke. Texas Tech versus NC State. NC State wins. They're the hottest team in the nation. I think they stay hot here. Kentucky versus Oakland. You already know that Kentucky has the best offense in the country. Oakland's not going to sniff them in that game. It's going to be a blowout. In the next game, we have Florida against the winner of Boise State, Colorado. I don't care who wins. Florida's been a fucking wagon. Florida beats whoever wins. Marquette versus Western Kentucky for the next one. Simple math here. Marquette is good. Western Kentucky is bad. Purdue versus winner of Montana State Grambling. Like I said, I don't give a shit who wins. Purdue wins, and a little redemption from last year where they lost as a 1 seed. In the next game, I'm going to take TCU over Utah State. My fucking boy, Jameer Nelson Jr., 2-time Goosebump moment of the week winner. He gets it done against Utah State. Gonzaga versus McNeese. Give me McNeese to upset Gonzaga in the popular 12-5 pick. Christian Shoemate, Goosebump moment of the week winner. Give me that all day. And at the next one, Kansas-Samford, I'm going to take an upset here again. So this is probably the most sound pick I have all tournament. So if you're going to listen to any advice, this is the one to listen to. But Samford is top 10 in scoring offense, win percentage, forced turnovers, 3-point percentage, steals, fast break points, effective field goal percentage, bench points per game. Kansas is first in assists, but they're not top 10 in 27 other categories that I looked at. Kansas has made 34 straight NCAA tournaments, the longest active streak, but this game belongs to Stanford. One of Kansas' players just got hurt. He's out for the whole tournament. They were only going 7 deep anyways. I think Stanford pulls off the upset here. Going to Oregon, South Carolina. Give me Oregon in the upset bucket. I'm just going to take all the 11 seeds. Why not? 11 seeds go 4-0 in my bracket. Creighton versus Akron. Big East has something to prove. Creighton's not going to blow this one. Okay, we got Texas versus now Colorado State. It won't be UVA. Give me Texas in that. I'm still going to say horns down to Rodney Terry if I ever see him, because I know he would lose it. But yeah, love disrespecting Texas, but they got a good squad. They get the dub here. And 10 out of the last 11 years, a first four team has won a game in the NC in the first round of the tournament at least. So, surely that won't happen. This won't be the, two out of the, this won't be the, one out of the two out of the last 12 times that it happens. I think we're due. We're due for a year where the first four teams don't win shit. Colorado State had an easy draw against Virginia. Texas is tough. They're not winning. Tennessee versus St. Peter's. Give me Tennessee. St. Peter's can't catch lightning in a bottle twice, surely, right? Next up, we got UConn versus Northwestern. Give me UConn. They're not scared of Bowie. I think they roll in that game. Next up, we got UAB versus Auburn. This is the battle for Alabama. I don't think the Blazers are going to beat a Bruce Pearl-led Auburn team. Give me Auburn. Duquesne versus Illinois. Give me Illinois. Duquesne's weird run comes to an end here against weirdo Terrence Shannon Jr. In the next game, we've got Drake versus Iowa State in the battle for Iowa. There's this guy, Mom Silovich, I heard is pretty good. Give me Iowa State. I'm giving you a reason for everything, but I never said they were going to be good reasons. But moving on to UNC versus Michigan. Michigan State probably shouldn't even be here. I think they were one of the bid stealers. They were one of the people that snubbed other teams. So give me UNC. And against St. Mary's, I think Bama wins. The WCC is kind of a Mickey Mouse conference. Gonzaga and St. Mary's carried that conference for a year. But the SEC is a powerhouse, and Bama gets the dub here. New Mexico Baylor, I think New Mexico stays hot, becoming the hottest team. All hail the Mountain West, right? Next game, Nevada, Arizona. Never mind. Don't hail the Mountain West because I'm taking Arizona in that one. Houston, Nebraska. Give me Houston. Yeah, I think they roll in that game. Next game is Wisconsin Duke. It's the Pardon My Take Bowl 3.0. And it's also a rematch of the 2015 championship game. Wisconsin gets their revenge for the Justice Winslow game. They win that. Coming in here, we got Kentucky versus NC State. And I think NC State sizzles out here, and Kentucky gets the win. Now we can talk Florida Marquette. Micah Hamilton is out for Florida. Tyler Kolek is in. Give me Marquette. Addition by subtraction. TCU, Purdue. I wanted TCU to be a dark horse team, but Zach Edey gets all the foul calls. Give me Purdue. And McNeese Stanford in a game against, two teams that made upsets the round prior. Give me McNeese. I'm just going to use Goosebump Sports Moment of the Week as a tiebreaker. And McNeese wins a fun game. Now we got Crane against Oregon. Give me the Blue Jays because Blue Jays can fly and Ducks cannot. Up next is Tennessee versus Texas in the Rick Barnes Bowl. He actually coached at Texas for 17 years. I think he does a horns down right in Rodney Terry's face, and I think Tennessee gets the dub here. Coming up next, we got UConn and Auburn. And people are going to be going, oh, my stars, I'm clutching my pearls. I think Bruce Pearl wins a dogfight here. People wouldn't react that way. It wouldn't be that shocking of a result. But, UConn's the presumptive favorite. So Auburn here is still an upset. Next, we got a border battle between Illinois and ISU. Terrence Shannon Jr. is a sick fuck, allegedly, but he's also sick at basketball, and the Domas guy is pretty good too. Give me Illinois. And now we've got UNC over Bama. I don't know. I don't have a reason for this one. I don't have a reason for all of them. I just should because I'm on a fucking podcast. But I like UNC in that one. Chalk. New Mexico versus Arizona. New Mexico, hottest team in the nation. Keep them hot. They beat out Caleb Love in Arizona. New Mexico moving on to the Elite Eight. And now we've got Houston, Wisconsin. That's not going to really be a contest. I like Houston in that one. Big Kentucky versus Marquette. Kentucky's offense is incredible, but defense wins championships. Give me Marquette. Purdue versus McNeese. I like Purdue in this one. I think Cinderella's shoe falls off here. Number 3, Creighton versus number 2, Tennessee. Give me Creighton. Big East. Big East got snubbed, so Creighton moves on. And now we're in the Elite Eight. We got Auburn versus Illinois. I think Bruce Pearl's defense is going to lock up Terrence Shannon Jr. and then hopefully he's locked up for real in jail. Now we've got UNC, New Mexico. I don't know. I'm going to take UNC. I kind of fell in love with them after the whole Duke fiasco, the Cameron Crazies being scumbags. So, UNC, they're a 1 seed. It's not that big of a statement to put them in the Final Four. I'm putting them there. Houston versus Marquette. I think Houston can be exposed by savvy offenses. So give me Marquette moving on to the Final Four. And Purdue, Creighton. I think Purdue gets to the Final Four. They get that redemption after losing to a 16 seed last year. I think Edey's going to keep getting hella calls, and it's going to go his way. Now in the Final Four, we got Auburn versus UNC. I think UNC wins to make their second championship appearance in 3 years, but this time it's expected in 2022. They went as an 8 seed. This year, I think they get there as a 1 seed. Now we have Marquette, Purdue in the Final Four. I think Edey could cook in this game, but on a standalone nationally televised game, I don't think he's going to get quite as many calls as he did rounds prior. Give me Marquette. And in the championship, I think UNC falls short. Heartbreak for the Tar Heels. And for the first time since 1977, give me the Marquette Golden Eagles to win the whole damn thing, to win the national championship. All 3 words that I have for Marquette is Shaka the World.